Plato once said, "Those who tell the stories rule society." So those who want to rule society have us tell their stories to you, so you can be ruled over. In Hollywood, we insist on diversity, which means everyone must think the same but look different, except still be beautiful, which really means everyone has to look the same too. While we have no actual diversity, we insist on woke virtue signaling diversity. Not because we're good people, but because we want you to think we're good people. That's how we manipulate you. People that virtue signal aren't good people. That's why we have to virtue signal. Hollywood diversity is great! It's probably just a coincidence that everyone in Hollywood is on the left. And people who want to work in Hollywood that aren't on the radical left know they need to pretend they're on the left, or else they'll never work in this town. And it's easy for them to pretend because they're fake people.
Fake, woke, virtue signaling diversity. Where have I heard that one before? Oh yeah, every aspect of our freaking society. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski of wearechange.org. Lots of chaos to uncover on the U.S.-Mexican border, as I'm actually reporting right now to you from Mexico. There's also a lot of other crazy news regarding the shot, as well as some major news coming from European countries, as globally, according to a public health expert, we are making one of the biggest public health mistakes ever, which Dr. Fauci even recently endorsed. And we're going to get into that plus a lot more, all here on this independent media network that is luckily and very happily not a part of the larger entertainment industrial complex, which was perfectly characterized by Awaken with JP. We played a small clip of his full video, which is available in our description right now. And a lot of what he said was more honest than it was satirical, but still a very good video highlighting the absurdity of today's fake woke virtual signaling diversity efforts that are becoming more and more ridiculous, as highlighted by these alleged stickers that are going to be rolled out in New York City and most likely be seen on a lot of obnoxious people's Instagram posts. In related obnoxious people news, we have the mainstream media still fawning and loving the current president of the United States, like The Hill perfectly exemplified with their latest article about how, quote, Biden's cat will break the internet when it arrives at the White House as planned. And yes, even I'm becoming flabbergasted at the absolute idiocy and insult to intelligence that these larger PR companies that parade themselves as journalists have towards humanity. And as that happens, Joe Biden keeps ducking and diving any journalists, almost as if he had a one-night stand with them and no longer wants to do anything with them. As even recently, ABC News brought up the fact about how Biden has been ducking reporters, which of course is raising very serious accountability questions. And the president's absence from the public stage after becoming the new President of the United States, still not holding any extended press conferences to date, really makes you wonder what's going on here, who's really in charge, as Cheryl Atkins even wrote an opinion piece that was titled, "Maybe a Biden hologram can handle his public speeches," which she seriously talks about the development of robotics and AI technology to make this happen so the president could become more available to the general public. And she actually said that officials inside of the Biden administration are actually mulling this idea, and this could become a reality. I am kidding you not. Yeah, and when the president is not there or virtually there, who is there? What's happening? Who's running everything and calling the shots, especially the larger, very aggressive American foreign policy decisions that are leading to the worst humanitarian crisis on the face of this earth right now. And even CNN, Jake Tapper from CNN is admitting that the US-backed Saudi coalition is creating a crisis that is starving countless numbers of children through American foreign policy that is becoming ever aggressive against innocent civilians, while domestically in the United States it is trying to disarm you and trying to make you defenseless. Yeah, when you have the same people committing human rights violations and atrocities saying will protect you. History gives us another reason to be absolutely skeptical of what's happening right now. And that's why we're here to remind you, as an independent media organization, that history always dictates that giving the government more power and money will actually not enable it to help people. It will actually do the opposite of that. And because of reminding people this very important historical lesson, I think that's one of the reasons we were fully demonetized. But hey, that's okay. In response to that, we started a t-shirt company at thebestpoliticalshirts.com, and we're absolutely killing it. We're working really hard on it because we're learning the power of getting our messages out through peer-to-peer ways, through the individuals, with political messages on shirts that cannot be censored. Now, yes, some of these shirts were censored for a limited time. Now they are officially back. We almost have all of our items already back in stock, and we're always adding a bunch more to, of course, address a lot of the issues that the general public needs to be awakened to. And that's why we have new t-shirts like this one, 2 + 2 = 5, and our beauty school dropout shirt, which prominently highlights Nancy Pelosi that was violating the lockdowns, which she was enforcing, that she was personally calling for, which actually was submitted by one of our users, which all of them are available on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, where you can exclusively find this and many other t-shirts that I think I'm going to be doing 100% guarantee on them creating some kind of controversy or dialogue or conversation if you wear them. I'm wearing one right now highlighting our dystopian future, and this is one of the best ways to be a lazy activist. So click on the link right now in the description below to see what shirt is right for you. Now, in related hypocritical bureaucratic news that never follow their own rules that they push on people, we very surprisingly had a bombshell revelation from the Lord and Savior of the 2020 sickness himself, Dr. Fauci, who is being portrayed by Brad Pitt, a man who is adored by the mainstream media, who of course was on CNN and came out and shocked everyone because he admitted that there's actually no data or science behind the logic of locking people down if they received the shot.
Understandably, they want to get science, they want to get data. And then when you don't have the data and you don't have the actual evidence, then you've got to make a judgment call. And I think that's what you're going to be seeing in the next weeks.
Now, yeah, when there's no data, when there's no science, when there's no evidence behind continuing to lock down people and you just choose to do so, and you're making judgment calls that have a severe effect on the lives of humans, what you're doing, in my opinion, is absolutely wrong and horrendous. If there's no actual basis in your decision, you shouldn't be making that decision. And we have to admit, this is a rare moment of truth where we had the guy preaching, believe the science, admitting that there's no science behind it. There's quite the contrary, as Newsweek just cited a Stanford medical professional that said that lockdowns were, quote, the worst public health mistake in the last 100 years. Specifically detailing how lockdowns themselves, which Dr. Fauci says that there's no data or evidence supporting it, that it even works in any way, shape, or form, suggesting that the lockdowns themselves impose more of a harm than even potentially the sickness. And this is not me saying this, but we've been saying this from the very beginning. We've been reminding people that many times government intervention usually backfires, hurts people. We've been saying that from the very beginning of 2020. I mean, that's usually what we've been saying. We said it in this case. We also were bringing up the fact that it was that same Dr. Fauci that was financing very risky experiments surrounding this sickness in a level 3 laboratory where it started, as even Politico just released an article a couple days ago detailing how in 2018 U.S. diplomats were warning that there could be a potential accidental release of a very dangerous sickness because of very lax, unprofessional safety protocols at this level 3 laboratory that was tied into Dr. Fauci, which is, again, something we've been talking about from the very beginning. And now Politico, again, Newsweek, now, again, finally lifting the veil that many in independent media have been talking about for months. We told you that witch was there, and here she is. Now, it's also important to note that diplomatic cables warning of a potential accidental leak were ignored in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm not trying to come up with any conclusions here, but the fact that this happened, I think, is extremely worth noting, along, of course, with the greater consequences and government's response to this, which, because of the government's response and not the sickness, according to the Stanford medical professional, is leading to harm of people that is catastrophic. And in my opinion, from my own personal perspectives, from everything I've seen, he is absolutely right. Especially because some of the long-term devastating effects of the lockdown have still not presented themselves and will present themselves in the future. The same with the larger economic ramifications. And he also highlighted how lockdowns specifically hurt the poorest amongst us in this world, creating larger wealth income inequality gaps and hardships from poor people that are facing, of course, a much more difficult time than rich people. Now, this professor also co-authored the Great Barrington Declaration, which is a petition to end the lockdowns, which has received 13,000 signatures from medical and public health scientists and more than 41,000 medical practitioners, with close to now almost 800,000 concerned citizens that signed it as well. And I didn't even know about this petition, this larger movement, this larger call, and later I'm probably going to add my name to the list of concerned citizens for some transparency to go along with my commentary. So you, of course, understand where I'm coming from. And when you look at the lockdowns that weren't followed by politicians imposing them, you see a huge spike in psychological mental health problems, especially amongst children that are ending their existence on this planet and also doing self-harm on a greater level than ever previously seen before. Even according to the World Bank, the responses from governments creating lockdowns is going to lead to as many as 150 million people being pushed to extreme poverty. And they try to blame this on the sickness, but we have to understand here, the sickness didn't create the lockdowns. Politicians created the lockdowns, which very few states, very few countries decided not to abide by, and they're doing far better than, of course, the states that did. And of course, as people are being thrown into extreme poverty all over the world, billionaires are taking advantage of this situation, and they are enriching themselves to wealths that human beings have never seen before, as it is estimated that a select few of individuals benefited to the tune of $10.2 trillion amongst this crisis, because a lot of the billionaires have friends in politics, and they were allowed to conduct business during the lockdowns when, of course, the average person wasn't. People, of course, like Jeff Bezos, Walmart, Costco, and other big box stores that, of course, thrived during this time. Meanwhile, everyone else suffered tremendously, some even paying the ultimate price for a life devastated by bad government decisions, some of which aren't even based on any science, data, or logic. Continuing in this realm of thinking, it's also important to note that today, 6 European countries have actually suspended the use of the AstraZeneca shot after there were some reports of serious blood clots and issues. Fox News also just released an article about a Utah mother that died 4 days after taking the Moderna shot here in the United States. Details are still murky about this, as of course many people are still waiting for a full autopsy to see exactly what happened during this particular situation. I actually delved in this particular topic on lukeuncensored.com, where I of course expand on of course the larger issues and things happening surrounding this issue. If you want that, just go check out lukeuncensored.com. And as some governments still continue lockdowns to this day, we have to ask ourselves what is happening. I think the information provided by this Stanford medical professional is worth considering, is worth sharing and talking about. And if you agree, share this video with your friends and family members, or even just share this article. You could put in the title right now into a search engine, spark the debate, spark the conversation, because if you don't, no one else will. And because you guys do that, because you're a part of the conversation, because you're still here, I'm here, and I wouldn't if it wasn't for you, and this is why I sincerely love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. I am taking a break tomorrow since I'm going to have a very, very busy day, and I think I'm going to start again doing videos from Sunday through Thursday, so expect a video Sunday. Thank you again so much for tuning in and staying with me.